Hello, I'm Justin Petelka from the University of Washington's Information School in the United States. On behalf of my collaborators, Professors Megan Finn, Elisa Oreglia, and Janaki Srinivasan, I'm going to talk about our submission to this year's CSCW conference, Generating Practices, Investigations into the Double Embedding of GDPR and Data Access Policies. We begin our story with the European Union's General Data Protection Regulation, or GDPR. The GDPR came into effect on May 18, 2018, and since then other legislative bodies have enacted similar legislation. For instance, both Brazil and the U.S. state of California have passed data protection laws which went into effect in 2020. While each data protection law is specific to their region's local legal context, generally they create obligations for organizations that collect and process personal data. For this presentation, we will call these entities data controllers. Among these obligations are a set of data subject rights, which requires data controllers to comply with requests from data subjects. These include the right to ask data controllers to remove or correct personal data, to object to particular forms of data processing, and the subject of this talk to access a copy of personal data. While other rights, like the right to be forgotten, may be more well known, legal scholars argue that the right of access holds a central place among data protection rights. It would not be possible for an individual to ask a company to correct or remove data without first confirming what data a company has about them. For this reason, scholars have called the right of access a natural precondition to exercising the other data protection rights. Accessing data can also enable individuals and groups to exert power over institutional and corporate data processing practices. For instance, groups can bring contentious or illegal data collection or sharing activities to the attention of regulators or media organizations. This creates opportunities for both individual and social control over corporate data processing. Right of access laws often leave data controllers with a good deal of flexibility in the specifics of compliance. This ambiguity creates questions about who the laws apply to and how to comply with them. This flexibility is actually desirable, as it allows the law to grow and adapt with the pace of social and technological change. For instance, people with networked computing devices might be upset if a law required them to send a postal letter or a fax in order to request data from a data controller. Data controllers use this flexibility to comply with data protection laws in a variety of ways. This, in turn, enables and constrains particular possibilities for how data subjects can request and use personal data. In short, the right of access is shifting the practices of both data controllers and data subjects. Our CSCW paper presents our empirical account of some on-the-ground impacts of data protection laws through the practices of data controllers complying with access requests and data subjects requesting and interpreting their data. Rather than considering policy, design, and practice to be discrete entities, we use the concept of the policy design practice knot to assess the impact of right of access laws. This helps us engage across people, institutions, and technologies in our analysis, an approach honed by the CSCW community. From September 2019 to March 2021, we asked participants from India, the United States, and the United Kingdom to request data from different data controllers. At the time, these regions each had a different legal context for non-sectoral right of access laws. India had neither national nor state omnibus right of access laws. The GDPR applied to pre-Brexit UK participants, and the US state of California had passed the Consumer Protection Act, the CCPA, which did not apply to our US participants, all of whom were from the state of Washington. We asked these 19 participants to make a total of 38 requests for data to 11 different data controllers. 4 of the 11 data controllers operated in all 3 regions, and the remaining 7 operated in only one of the UK, India, or US. This variety helped us capture a snapshot of this moment in flux created by emerging regional data protection laws around the world. Our participants were highly educated, but varied in age, gender, and technical experience. Few participants had requested data from a data controller before, and particularly non-UK participants were uncertain whether data controllers would even honor a request for data. We used a series of interviews and surveys to record how participants navigated requesting data how they interpreted their personal data if a request was successful, and their reflections on the request process as a whole. I will let our paper speak in detail about our findings, so for this talk, I want to summarize a few of our key results and leave you with two takeaways about the practical experience of requesting data. First, companies that complied with requests handled them in numerous ways. Large transactional companies like Facebook, Google, Amazon, or Spotify handled requests directly from their main page or in some part of their settings. The airlines Alaska Airlines and Ryanair used the intermediary service OneTrust to process data requests. The UK online bank Monzo processed requests through a combination of email, application chat, and telephone. Data controllers also offered multiple types of data. Participants had to select from various data formats and sizes, from a single PDF to file trees full of heterogeneous data, all of which could range in size from a few kilobytes to potentially hundreds of gigabytes. Data subjects had to navigate this variety when requesting, accessing, opening, and interpreting their personal data. Participants with and without technical experience both struggled at different points with this process. Some participants were unsure how to respond to follow requests from the data controller, while others were unfamiliar with particular data formats. Every participant encountered some type of data that they did not fully understand. After examining their personal data, few participants felt like they understood more about how data controllers use their data, and often were left with more questions than answers. Aside from personal archiving, participants did not envision reasons they might request data on their own in the future. These negative experiences led some participants to feel disempowered or disillusioned about the efficacy of data protection laws. Our first takeaway, then, is that data subject rights are not achieving their goals of empowering data subjects to manage their personal data. Given the struggles our participants encountered, it is tempting to ask laws to be more specific about what is and is not compliant, or to provide standards for what data should be provided, where, and how. But our results suggest that we are in a moment of flux as data controllers work to comply with right of access regulations and data subjects navigate the variety of ways to request, understand, and use personal data. Instead of refining processes that do not work for most data subjects, we argue that we need more radical experimentation with how data requests are made, processed, delivered, presented, and used. To summarize, we use the metaphor of the policy design practice not to demonstrate that data controllers are responding to data protection laws in a variety of ways, but few of these designs made participants feel like they learned something about a data controller's practices. As a result, our participants felt disempowered or disillusioned with data subject rights after requesting and inspecting their data, suggesting that data subject rights are not achieving their intended goals. But instead of more specification and standardization, we need broader engagement with diverse communities and more radical experimentation with how data is delivered, presented, and used. Thank you for watching our video. We appreciate the opportunity to present at CSCW 2022, and we hope you enjoyed our presentation.